Welcome to the Red Bean Podcast, the New Orleans edition. This is your host, Mr. Toad.
And I'm Dr. Frog.
This is going to be a zany episode. I can already feel it right now.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about rage rituals for some
there we go.
very wealthy women that they like to go in the woods and hit rocks and sticks on the ground and yell and create a bit of a commotion.
What a great way to spend a Saturday afternoon.
That's what I'm saying. You get a lot of steam out. Maybe calories will be burned. And then we'll also talk about bears.
You might be able to pair this with a camping trip. You know, you go fishing after the rage ritual, and you
just make sure you avoid the bear while you're just
depends on if you catch any fish.
Hey, you know what? This is a great time to really promote cardio.
Bear in the woods. I get the analogy.
Yeah.
Would you rather have a bucket of fish and be next to a bear, or in the middle of a rage ritual?
Or would you rather learn how to fish so you can feed yourself your lifetime of fish, or if you just get one fish and that's it?
Just only live off of one large whale and having to preserve the meat for years.
Hey, you know what? There's a lot of salt. And one bite at a time. It might get gross after.
Well, there's also a lot of salt at these rage rituals. We're talking about that.
Yeah. So we're going to play just a brief background sound, and I'm just going to kind of react, and Mr.
Sure.
Dr. Frog's going to kind of play along here, hopefully, and we'll have a little bit of fun because I think these stories are kind of funny and zany.
Okay.
So we're just going to play a little bit of rage ritual. And what does that sound like?
Bring. Oh, this is the 504. What's your call?
Oh, so I was walking my dog down the street, and it sounds like a woman's being beaten to death outside. Can we send a police officer?
That sounds horrible.
I'm hearing this sound of like hitting the ground,
screaming and hitting the ground.
Screaming.
Oh, sir!
Oh my God!
That's just the rage ritual.
There's some lady with some paint on her face, and they're screaming obscenities.
Yeah, but you should probably back away slowly. These rage rituals happen all the time.
I was just trying to walk my dog.
But I think you'll be okay as long as you.
I just had this,
don't stare directly in the eye.
I just had this whole idea
of the
like
participants.
I could just imagine like I'm walking a dog and like I'm walking in the woods. I'm like, okay, dog, you got to do your thing. And all of a sudden I start hearing this screaming in the woods. I'm like, oh my gosh, police! Yeah, I think some woman's being beaten to death out there. It sounds like a whole bunch of them getting beaten.
Well, it makes me wonder that I think this almost reminds me of what Tony Robbins used to coach. If you watched any documentaries about Tony Robbins or been to any of his seminars, he's a sort of life improvement coach. And he says that, he says for guys sometimes that, they need to reclaim that sort of primitiveness. He says, roar like a lion. He'll go down the line and say, roar, shout, scream. And then he can tell the timid guys to go, like
does he also
they don't actually scream, right?
Does he also say twist and shout?
Twist and shout, twist and shout. Come on, come down now. But yeah, no. Yeah. This kind of is reminiscent of that activity. Roar like a lion, louder, louder, louder. And so I'm wondering, because certainly from the outside, people are, oh no, rage rituals. It sounds the alliteration is good, R&R, but it sounds rage is something that's uncontrolled. It sounds dangerous. But I'm wondering, maybe it's sometimes good for people to have an outlet to scream and shout. Now, the Champions League final, Madrid, I believe, is playing Borussia Dortmund. That's happening in June. I mean, how many times do you see people scream at the NFL?
See, I think the big difference between this and the soccer game is simply this. These women are paying thousands of dollars to go in the woods with this random lady with face paint on her face. I love how she says in the video, she's like, "Give it to them." I'm like, "Who's them?"
Give it to
oh my
them.
gosh!
Yeah. Now,
who is those people? Hopefully it's not like people they interact.
The good thing is that them is a gender neutral thing, right? At least it wasn't a him.
Hey, you know,
it could be a him.
It could actually be a specific person. It could be a them.
You know, the primer to that could have been, imagine some time in your life, a memory in your life when you were told that you're not good enough.
Sure.
Right? And then maybe she's saying, imagine that memory, and now let's put it on the ground and let's hit it with a stick. And I'm not sure how effective that is. Now, even though
I think forgiveness is probably a better approach to her.
I'm not necessarily clinical, but one thing that I worry about through my knowledge of therapy and this sort of stuff, which I'm not going to claim to be an expert on.
Sure.
But from my personal experience, there's not going to be a lot of therapists if someone has rage problems that says, yes, you should express that rage. I think it is good that it's being expressed in a certain way.
Usually I would think...
It might be bad, though, if someone's used to having outbursts as a way of coping, and now suddenly they're in the office setting, and there's something that triggers that, and now what they've learned is that they can scream full volume. So I'm wondering if there's a better way to channel some of that rage.
So are you saying, Dr. Frog, that some of these women should be bringing these sticks from the woods into the office?
Well, actually, you know, maybe there's stress balls or maybe there's something like this. To be honest, I can't speak to how to deal with rage. I'm lucky that I've never dealt with anger problems before.
Sure.
I have known a lot of people who have rage problems and they didn't deal with it well.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that this is the best treatment.
Yeah.
This might not solve the issue. It might make you feel better for a weekend.
What I will say, though, the big difference between this and the soccer game is, yes, these women are spending thousands of dollars to go in the woods and scream in the ground and hit the ground and have some lady with face paint saying, give it to them. But I would also say, at least at the soccer game...
There's still face paint.
Yeah, there's still face paint.
So someone scores at the soccer
Hey, you know what? They're cheering, but I don't know whose side they're cheering on. But, you know, at least they're cheering for somebody. But I will say at the soccer game... usually after the game, you're going to figure out who won or lost. I don't know who's winning or losing at these rage rituals. But.
You know, given the clip that we just watched, it sounds like the road was the big loser because it just got hit with a bunch of sticks.
I tell you, they definitely, if you need
it gives a whole new meaning to hit the road. You know, I mean, instead of hit the
road, Jack.
Instead of hit the road, Jill.
Hit the road, Jill. Hit it.
Show it to them. Is that what the...
Give it to them.
Give it to them.
Give it to them. I just remember the lady screaming it with the paint on her face.
You know what I'd love? Like, wow. If there was someone who was like working road construction who was like sweeping along the side and just saying, oh, excuse me, moment, and then sweeps the leaves off the road and continues down the road. Oh, you continue with your wailing on the road.
I feel like this is the time where if you have like the street sweeper or the guy who's clearing out the trails and these women are screaming, hitting the ground, this is the time you call your boss. You're like, oh, yes, yeah, boss, yeah, I'm going to go on lunch break a little early. And you're like, hey, why are you going on lunch? Yeah. Oh, boss, there's like 100 ladies out here. They're all screaming, hitting the ground.
So give it to him.
Give it to them.
Them.
And I'm just like, I don't feel comfortable being out here. So I'm going to come back after this little posse's done.
Or he might say, you know what, I'm resigning. I'm going to put an application to make thousands of dollars going out in the woods and
hey, you know what? It's a good business, you know. And there seems to be a lot of ladies that like to go out in the middle of the woods.
I'm not sure what the insurance is like.
I don't know if this is covered by.
Is there workers' comp if you?
Could this be workers' comp?
If you hurt your hand by hitting the ground too hard or something?
Hey, you know, they may have gotten carpal tunnel. You know, there was all that swinging.
It is a repetitive motion. So
get some tennis elbow going on in the rage rituals, probably.
I'm still back and forth because I think that there are good ways to relieve that stress if someone's dealing with rage.
I think in anger management, they talk about breathing exercises, and they talk about how you can just say,
meditating.
Hey, there's very few things in this life that we have any control over.
But showing them how to throw temper tantrums and hit the ground.
I mean, I see small children do this kind of behavior.
I do want to notice that, you know, even though we're kind of laughing because it's rage rituals, it's an all-women's group this time. I think there is a history of, you know, sometimes men's groups going out into the woods and doing similar stuff. You know,
I can see that. Like, or maybe they're cutting firewood or something like that.
You know, scream like a lion kind of thing. Yeah, like the Tony Robbins thing. So,
like the survival
we're all
camp.
making fun of it, but I'm wondering the actual usefulness of it for these people.
I just think it looks a little peculiar. It looks a little odd, and I think that's probably why people are talking about it. And plus, I can't stress seeing that lady with the paint on her face saying, "Give it to them." I mean,
there you go. Well, you know what?
She's
the one getting paid, collecting the paychecks from the others.
She's like, definitely give it to them.
Maybe she's saying, "Give it to me." Inside, give the paychecks to me.
I don't think she wants to get hit with a stick, though.
No. But she's saying, give the paychecks to me, and then here's a stick. Now give it to the road.
Well, I can at least say, the operating costs are very inexpensive here.
As long as the road's maintained, well maintained. As long as the road doesn't break down from getting hit with sticks.
It's a winding road.
But I mean, it reminds you of some of these group exercises. There are lots of places in the woods where you can go to do a team building or a group exercise,
like a trust falls or something like that.
Yeah,
I think those
sometimes corporate events do that. I'm not sure if I went to a corporate event and they started wanting me to scream at the thing. Some of it is just letting loose of inhibitions, and some people, they might be cooped up in their apartment, or maybe they're in a big city. There's not a lot of space. If you scream, your neighbors call the police.
I guess my concern would be that if some people in their mind might think, hey, this is okay, I might do this outside of the woods. And I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, I think the concern is if you're embracing that as, oh, this is a good way of dealing with my rage, then when the rage comes up in the office.
Or in relationships.
Maybe
you're at a restaurant, or it could be anywhere.
And now you say, hey, it's okay for me to act on those baser instincts.
I'm going to take this fork and I'm going to start slapping it on the table. And I don't care if I'm at the Michelin, restaurant.
Give it to them.
Give it to them.
That seems like the slogan for the...
But you know what these women did not run into? They did not run into a bear. What do you think about the bear conversation?
Sure. So, we can blend some of that in. I guess there was, and this is started on TikTok, I believe, if that's the right name for the app. I think it's, would you rather be stuck in the forest with a bear or a man? And the answer might indicate to you whether or not the women who were asked this question see men as inherently violent. So some people are taught that there's inherent male violence that is negative or needs to be destroyed, and which I of course reject. But
what I would probably say, and I'm going to probably have an unpopular opinion here, but I'm going to have maybe not a positive take on it. But when I heard that question, so I have.
Obviously,
analytical mind
the bear's
about
going
these
to
kind of
destroy
things.
you.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it's not even a question.
There's a documentary called The Grizzly Bear Man. If you want to see, it's a sad documentary at the end. It's what happens when people don't respect spaces. The animals are there, we are over here. Even Native American Indians realize that humans should not interact with animals. And you're talking about people that have lived in our ecosystem here in the United States for thousands of years, potentially.
But in a domesticated space, people probably think, well, my cat's really nice. I give it food and it licks my hand and it likes me, and my dog's really nice. So, I've seen raccoons and coyotes, and they're kind of friendly sometimes. So maybe someone thinks, the deer's not going to attack me. Hey, what about a bear?
See,
and they just lump it all into the animal category. And if they're taught from a kid's perspective that, animals are friendly to us. If they're taught that humans are the only ones that are evil, so to speak, then they're going to have a very elementary view of animals and how they interact.
Here's the issue. When I heard it, my first thought was the salmon population is going to have an excellent comeback. I think the salmon is going to have an excellent comeback, because what's going to happen is all these women are going to choose the bear, and this is what's going to happen. Me and Dr. Frog, we're going to go out to Alaska. We're going to go fishing, and you know what I'm going to notice? I'm going to be like, Dr. Frog.
So much salmon.
My gosh, there's so much salmon. And what are all these red rags all over the place? I have no idea, but you know what? The fishing is excellent.
And why are these bears sleeping?
I know
on the hill?
I thought they would be normally foraging for salmon here, and they seem to be full.
Yeah.
And I've noticed a lot of sandals, sneakers, a lot of pink sneakers.
What I'm imagining is the scene from Jurassic Park where Dennis Nedry is looking at the Dilophosaurus.
Oh,
right?
okay.
and he's throwing the stick, and the Dilophosaurus isn't interested in the stick. He's like, come on, fetch, and it's not fetching the stick. He says, no wonder you're extinct. And he's like, well, what do you want from me? Food? I don't got any food. There's no food on me. There's no food anywhere. And it doesn't seem to be persuaded. And maybe there is some food on Dennis Nedry that he might not have noticed. So that's, I think, a big difference between the bear as well. And bears, I don't know if they initially kill. I think they can keep you alive for a bit.
Man, I tell you, when you see the grizzly bear, man, especially not only grizzly bears, but the other one that's really scary, polar bears.
Polar bears.
They have no fear. They will eat you.
I can't remember if it's brown or black bear is the nicest, but I think brown is.
I mean, they have a video. I'm not going to get into details too much of it, but it was a panda bear, and it was taking someone's fingers off.
A panda bear?
Panda bear. And actually, panda bears are more related to...
shirt right now.
Oh, yeah, because I support the WWF.
Yeah.
Court case.
They have some pandas on there.
Yeah.
So,
but one of the takeaways I would say from this whole story is that, one... maybe beating a stick in the ground for $1,000 an hour, maybe not the best way to spend money. Maybe you should spend the game at the soccer.
Well, if you're earning the $1,000 an hour,
that's true.
Then
maybe it doesn't cost that much for them.
So that's what you want to do. You want to find what you love to do, screaming and hitting sticks on the ground.
Make sure you give it to them.
But maybe be the one that makes money.
That's true.
From it. If there's a way you can make money and go on your hiking trip with friends, and go ahead. I
know statistically, at least about the bear and the random man in the woods, is that, what do they say? 90% of men, generally speaking, in the West do not commit crimes, but the 10% commit majority of the crimes.
Yeah, so the majority of crimes are committed by a very small portion of the population. And
repeat offenders. To
be fair, the news, I think, does skew negative sometimes. It sells more.
It's like every man is a criminal. I don't believe that by any stretch of the imagination.
I think what happens is if people are only looking at the news, then they think, wow, the world is destruction and war. And then they open up their curtains and it's a nice, bright, sunny day. And everyone's nice in their...
Because, you have to look at life in many ways like the bell-shaped curve. The majority of people not going to cause any problems.
Sure.
About half the population, really not going to be a big deal. Maybe right at the very tip at the end, that's when it starts getting really extreme. And there's that very, very, all the way at the far right end of the spectrum. That's when you get the extreme stuff.
And this goes... if I were to make an even more controversial point... what's really at the heart of this is what we find interesting and what we consume as a culture. So if you're a young lady and you're watching this, let's say, okay, there's Netflix, there's Amazon Prime, there's Peacock, there's Paramount Plus. And what are some of those shows? Well, they're murder mysteries.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So you can watch, 5,001 ways to get, murdered, and some people consume these shows episode after episode, and they'll find it interesting, right? And now I'm not saying that in I'm saying that in a way of 50 Shades of Grey, for example.
Yeah.
Isn't necessarily a depiction of a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
But was the #1 bestseller of all time or something like this. It sold so many copies. And it appeals to the darker nature and interest of a lot of women readers.
The problem is
Shades of Grey.
The issue is and I've said this, and this can maybe be a controversial take. I don't think we have enough monsters in this world.
What? We don't have enough.
We don't have enough monsters. There's a huge demand for them.
Like Gojira.
We need monsters.
We need Mothra. We need Rodan.
Yeah, we need to bring those creatures back, because here's the issue. I remember reading something, and it said something like, you hear a lot of things about like serial killers and everything else.
Yeah.
The FBI, and this I have to check it, but
sure.
The last few times I've checked it, the FBI says there's approximately 100 serial killers in the United States who are active.
Only 100 that are active.
About 100, maybe 200, but it's a very low number. So what this tells me is that we have some, just like I said, we have these people who repeat the crime over and over again, but it's a very small segment of the population.
And they're getting most of the attention.
Yeah, they're the ones that are consistently getting all the attention, but it's such a small group of people. And I really think we live in generally in a very peaceful world, at least from the United States or Western perspective, we live in a relatively safe world compared to maybe in the past where
certainly.
If you were walking down the street, you might be randomly attacked by a pirate or something and then enslaved or something.
Crime's gone down.
Yeah, exactly. But generally speaking, we have law and order, we have courts, we have things like that I think have kind of been
fairly effective.
Yeah.
I mean, for violent crime, we do have the put people in a box. Put them in a jail cell, and it's effective, even if it's a bit inhumane, maybe. But generally, I think that we're in a very safe time in human history.
I mean, the fact is,
I think it comes down to what people are interested in.
I think here's the
if there's a lot of interest in it, then isn't that an interesting idea to hear about or think about? And now suddenly, Bobby in accounting who, goes home and waters the bonsai tree and goes to bed by 7, he's not going to make a Netflix series on that. It's not going to be a bestseller.
It's going to be a snoozeville.
People, it's going to be a boring snoozeville.
Give it to them.
Imagine if that was a romance article. If it's, hey, can we play Scrabble before bingo on Friday? Isn't that exciting? No, people aren't going to buy that.
No one's going to buy that. No. Yeah. No, we need something outrageous. We need something ridiculous.
And Scrabble's a perfectly fun board game.
Hey, and you know what? Maybe running away from a bear is much more entertaining than watching this guy walk.
You know what though? If you're stuck in the woods, bears can't play board games.
That is true.
So maybe I'd choose the guy, and then I would. Maybe I'd see what the guy's interested in. Maybe he's a Boggle player. Maybe he likes cards or something.
I love what It's a Gundam.
There's a content creator.
Yeah, he's a content creator on YouTube.
Sure.
He's someone I like to listen to occasionally. And I love what he says on one of the things where he's walking through the woods and he sees like a dead woman's body. His response is like, "Oh my gosh, somebody call 911 immediately." Like reactions about like common men or guys just going in the woods, just walking around.
Well, you should if you come. Yeah. Wait, I don't understand the.
I think
if I came across
what he was referencing is this.
I would call 911.
Because what he's referencing is if women do choose the bear and the bear comes after them, and we end up finding the body, obviously, but that's the reaction of most men. Most men are going to be like, if they see a woman maybe in distress or something, they're going to call 911.
Okay, wait. So what you're saying isn't just, you find the corpse in the woods, but you find the attack actually occurring in the woods.
Yeah.
Two very different things. If you come across a corpse, report the corpse. If you come across a situation where you're going to get harmed, where it's, look, there can either be one corpse or two corpses.
Yep.
At that point, you say, well, stay back from the bear, exert caution, there's less of a need for, So Aristotle, just to bring up a little bit of this, talked about something called the doctrine of the golden mean. And so when you ask yourself, what's brave?
Yeah.
It isn't on a scale of, wow, how brave are you? Wow, you're 10 brave. You're 10 out of 10 brave. Don't think of something like bravery like that. Think of it on a spectrum, and it lies in the middle of a spectrum. What's the extremes, the vice and the virtues of the vice is on either end, and then the virtues in this median, this middle. So what would it be for bravery? Well, you would have on one end a lack of bravery, which is cowardice, right? So that's what people are worried about. Oh no, the guy would just cower. He wouldn't rescue the person being attacked by the bear. He would just cower behind the rock or something, right? And then you'd say, okay, well, wow, what a coward. But then what people are failing to recognize is it's not just a line from coward to bravery, but there's also a vice of the other extreme, quote unquote, too brave. And what would that look like? That would look like foolhardiness.
Yeah.
Right? So let's say you're in the trenches in World War I. What you want to do is you don't want to just cower in the trenches and never fire a shot during war. But you also don't want to be the person who climbs out of the trench and charges the enemy on their own. Because then you're also just going to get shot. So similarly, if there's a bear attacking, someone jumping in and being foolhardy is not being brave. Yeah. But someone hiding behind the rock and never trying to help is also out of cowardice, that's also a vice. They're both vices. And so I think in an extreme example, you'd call for backup or something.
Yeah.
Even if a police officer was there, you'd call for backup.
Sure.
Maybe have bear mace if you have it. But,
or a high-powered firearm.
But being foolhardy, we've somehow made being dumb and acting rashly and being foolhardy as something that's commendable.
Well, we should think more clearly
if men do this, right? But it shouldn't be. That sort of self-sacrifice is foolhardiness.
So one of the things I remember reading about was one of the things that the United States government learned about in Vietnam, for example, was that when you're in a combat situation, the best way to survive in that situation was a paternal response, meaning when you saw the threat, you directly attacked it. So they actually evaluated 3 scenarios. They evaluated when you attacked directly at the threat. They had another one where you ran away and hid.
Sure.
And then they also had one where you were basically throwing yourself in front of someone else to protect them.
Yeah, in an unhealthy kind of...
Well, here's the problem. If you ran away and you hid, eventually they would find you and kill you. If you stood there and tried to protect someone over your own safety, you would get killed, and the person you were protecting, they would get killed. The third response being directly attacking the assailant, you had the best chance of survival. It's not the best answer because
so what you're saying is
I'm saying the odds of
the bear.
You got to go after the bear. Now,
what I've heard is make yourself big or whatever.
Well, I mean, we're talking maybe getting a sharp stick or something to poke in the eyeball, or you stab it in the nose or something. You're going to have to do something because if you're in a situation where this is aggressively attacking you, at least in the scenario of Vietnam and being attacked by something, the odds of you surviving is much higher if you attack the thing directly, opposed to running away or hiding or putting yourself in front of someone else trying to protect someone else. So
I'm wondering your thoughts. So what you're talking about specifically was rescuing a woman in that scenario, right?
Yeah.
A bear attack.
It was a bear attack.
Because
the woman decided to pick the bear
instead of a man.
Some
studies on having mixed genders within frontline combat scenarios, and what please correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
I thought it was something like when there was a woman in the combat unit, the guys were more likely to make more rash decisions.
Because there's this idea of protecting, but here's the issue.
But I'm not sure.
Because you have the paternal, you got the maternal, and you have self-preservation. Paternal was the best response because every other scenario always ended up either being negative or
I'm definitely going to have to see that study.
I'll bring it up because it was something that I was listening to also a guy who was in the former CIA. He was also talking about that as being one of the reasons why we have to have a paternal response to dealing with this. And either way, I think this is kind of a zany story. We're kind of dragging a little bit.
Yeah, from the rage rituals all the way to
bear rituals.
To what's appropriate levels of sacrifice.
I think Bear Grylls would be proud of us on this episode.
Bear Grylls, the survival expert.
I think so.
Do you think he would promote rage rituals?
I don't know if he would promote rage rituals, but I definitely could see him say...
He would probably say that if you want to scare away all the prey. if you want all the rabbits and deer to run away. Yeah.
I could definitely see him say, "Give it to them." I could see Bear Grylls give it to them.
Maybe they're practicing to be extras on a war.
Hey, this could be a new Predator movie, and these women are out there and they're screaming, and you know what? They're aggravating the Predator, and he's going to go and take him out, and we got to get Arnold Schwarzenegger to go out there and fight the Predator at the same time. A bear is pursuing him.
It's so cold-blooded, though, during rage rituals. Do you think the Predator, since it's heat-sensitive...
I think actually it's...
Where's the warmest glow?
I could actually see the Predator getting annoyed by hearing all the screaming and actually kind of leave. So then, throughout this movie, Arnold's going to have all these women with him screaming and hitting the sticks on the ground while he's trying to take out the Predator.
But like I mentioned earlier, it's the sensational, over-the-top ones that are going to get the attention.
Oh, yeah.
And there are obviously harmless versions of this. I mean, one version might be people playing Call of Duty and throwing their controller. Right?
Oh yeah,
but certainly there are better ways to express.
I always loved the Wii remote when people didn't have the string around the device. So actually, some people were throwing the Wii remote at the TV, and they call it "We are having a problem."
We are having a problem.
We are having
because the Wiimote are having a problem.
Yeah. So I think this will wrap up our episode about bears and rage rituals, and I think we're just going to title this episode "Give It to Them."
Give it to them.
Give it to them.